VikesNow, I am Dustin Baker. We are kicking it August 5th edition. I thought, based on the way the Vikings usually do business, that we would have a depth chart today, and maybe we will tonight. By the time you watch this, there will probably be a depth chart for the Vikings. It's the one that is unofficial, but then is actually official because we haven't had one. And you'll get to see the pecking order of the Vikings roster. In other news on Tuesday, the Jordan Addison drama is kaput. It is over. As most of us expected, if you watch this show, if you read other people's stuff, Jordan Addison will miss the first 3 games of 2025. And that'll put him back in the saddle, starting lineup, Vikings offense with J.J. McCarthy in Dublin, Ireland, where I just vacationed in a couple weeks in July. Addison will be back against the Steelers, barring some sort of setback, another injury or something like that. So we got to litigate this fallout for 3 games, and then Jordan Addison will be back. So we want to jump into that tonight, talk about why you don't need to sweat the fact that Jordan Addison will be out. We will fully concede that it sucks that Jordan Addison was a dipshit 2 summers in a row, and he's going to miss 3 games accordingly. But this show, like frequently does, is here to tell you why that's not a doomsday thing. You will see here that I am not holding up my book tonight. I am promoting it on screen thanks to a tip from friend of the show, longtime friend of mine, Yannick Eckhart said, "Why don't you just put it up in your background or put it up on screen?" I was like, "Shit, homie, that's a good idea." So you'll see my book. It is a fiction, my first debut fiction novel. Last night on the show, I said that I'm gonna write 2 and then have 80 by the time what I meant to say was I'm going to write 2 fiction books per year, and by the time I'm an old man, I'll have 80 books in my catalog or something like that. So the very first one in that adventure is right over here. It is on Amazon. It's independently published. It's called The Motor Route. It is a mystery, suspense, thriller, and it's kind of like just one of those stories that's gritty and weird. And if you like that genre, go read the book. It's 300 something pages. You can read it on ebook, Kindle for $3.99, or if you get into Amazon Unlimited, it's free, evidently. Or if you're a type of dude like me, or like my friends and family, evidently, that like a paperback in our hands, when you're 41 like me, you still like to do that. I have it priced at $14.99. I'm sure I'll have promotions from time to time, but go buy the book now. This is my maiden voyage into fiction writing. Enough of the marketing salesmanship. I'm going to talk about Jordan Addison and his suspension for these Vikings. 3 games he's going to be out. I'm going to tell you why, although it's significant. He's the second best playmaker on the team, so it is a big deal that he's out. It's just not a doomsday thing, and I've got 5 or 6 reasons why. The very first is common sense. The Vikings have plenty of wide receivers. Almost every NFL team right now has like a dozen, and the Vikings are not excluded. So after Justin Jefferson, of course, Jordan Addison, you're going to have a hodgepodge of options that include Jalen Nailor, who's very secretly, sneakily scored 6 touchdowns last year. Didn't quite post, other than that sweet stat, like quintessential WR3 numbers, but he turned some heads when he got the crap out of his system with that fumble against the Packers, that punt return fumble that got on my nerves and your nerves. He turned into a serviceable WR3, and by Viking standards over the last decade, pretty noteworthy. The Vikings, especially under Mike Zimmer, never emphasized WR3. They were like, nah, BC Johnson, he's fine. So Naylor is a decent WR3. He'll be promoted for 3 games to WR2, I think, beyond the shadow of a doubt. And then after him, you have rookie Ty Felton, who's been really quiet, in my estimation, at training camp. Maybe Felton needs some time in the preseason to get his juices flowing. Kevin O'Connell's offense is known for being complex. Perhaps it takes a while for a rookie to stomach all of it. Then Lucky Jackson, like a training camp, maybe a Mr. Mankato winner or nominee. He might even make the active roster. If you pull up, I think Ben Gessling, Star Tribune, his 53-man roster. I think Yannick Eckhart has him. I think Lucky Jackson, if they built the 53-man roster tonight, I think Lucky Jackson would make it. You also have Deshaun Jones, who has flashed. And then probably the almighty roster bubble Viking right now, Rondell Moore. If they know, which they do, that Jordan Addison is going to be out for 3 games, maybe you don't want to cut Rondell Moore on August blah, 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 whatever date that will be. Maybe you keep Rondell Moore for this season or at least 3 games. He's got experience. He has underwhelmed since getting drafted by the Cardinals in 2021. Was he a second rounder? If you play fantasy football, you probably scooped him all over the place, especially in dynasty format. But the takeaway here for number 5, number 6 on my list is there are options. These guys are adequate. They're decent. They are not Jordan Addison's blossoming Pro Bowl caliber talent, but they are guys that in Kevin O'Connell's system, I think can make a dent in the offense. If you assume Naylor's going to be WR2, then boom, Rondale Moore. Let's roll with him for 3 weeks as WR3. For a while, he was envisioned as the Cardinals WR2, maybe even WR1 by some Cardinals fans. So you have the wideouts there. The next one on this list, why you should not panic to all hell about Jordan Addison, is TJ Hawkinson. When he is in his purest form, when he's fully healthy, when he's not lingering effects of an ACL tear at the arms of Kirby Joseph, TJ Hawkinson commands a WR2 or WR3 target load within an offense. He just does. That's why he's like, the second or third highest paid tight end in all of the land. So if you assume that Hawkinson's little groin tweak on Saturday, we got 5 weeks to get that in shape. He is not a run-of-the-mill throwaway tight end that gets 2 targets per game. No. TJ Hawkinson can be a target hog, especially for a de facto rookie quarterback in JJ McCarthy. There's some teams like the Kansas City Chiefs that have made a dynasty in the making on allocating targets to the tight end and not really caring too much about the WR2, let alone the WR3. So I believe so long as Hawkinson's groin malady is ready to go by September 8th, you shouldn't, what are we going to do without Jordan? Well, you have last year you didn't have so there's this dichotomy. Last year you didn't have TJ Hawkinson, but you had Jordan Addison. That's what Sam Darnold had to deal with. No Addison, but Hawkinson. Now JJ McCarthy has no Addison, but he has Hawkinson. And the Vikings, by the way, went 5-0 last year without Hawkinson in the first 5 weeks of the season, unexpectedly, because that schedule, like this one, was gruesome. So on Hawkinson, this is music to his ears. Like Addison gets in the way of his Sunday afternoon allotment. And without Addison for those 3 games, TJ Hawkinson should be in position to blast off as a top 5, top 6, top 7 tight end in the world. So let's roll with Hawkinson as a enhanced option now that Addison's out of the way. The ball will have to go somewhere. Why not to the willing mitts of TJ Hawkinson? All right, if you're going to read any more Jordan Addison fodder from others, this one probably won't be mentioned. So out of the gate, the first 3 games are going to transpire against the Chicago Bears, Atlanta Falcons, Cincinnati Bengals. Those are not elite defenses. Hear me out. Chicago is pretty good. Like anytime the Vikings and Bears play, proverbial throw the records out the window. Soldier Field games are sloppy as all hell. So I get it. But compared to some of the monsters of rock defenses in the NFL, like the Broncos, the Bears, Falcons, and Bengals do not move the needle like that. Like Falcons, unless these rookie edge rushers that they confusingly traded their first rounder. I wish the Vikings would have got that first rounder. I'll go off on a tangent on that at some point on the show. The one that the Rams got, unless the Falcons rookie edge rushers take off right away, which is kind of unlikely. The Falcons defense is not like this group dripping with gold. And then Cincinnati, one of the knocks last year, in addition to a suspect offensive line, the Bengals kind of feel like the Vikings offensive line from 8 years ago at times. It's like they just can't figure it out in totality. The Bengals don't have a wonderful defense, particularly if Trey Hendrickson hasn't figured it out yet with this Bengals front office that is notoriously quarrelsome and cheap. So all things considered, if we were staring down these ultra-talented defensive groups like the Eagles and then the Broncos, I'd be like, oh shit, Addison's out. We're going to get cooked because these defenses are ferocious. That is not the case. The Bears defense is pretty good. The Falcons defense, not. And then the Bengals, we shall see how their offseason moves work out. You could do a lot worse tackling a 3-game stint without Jordan Addison with these opponents. Now, these opponents are good, but their defenses aren't to die for if you're a fan of those teams. All right, I got 3 more reasons left why you should not be in your bag, anxietal, emotional about Jordan Addison going to miss these 3 games. The Vikings have planned for this. They've had 13 months to plan for this very moment. So they got away with one. Addison personally got away with one in July 2023 when he was driving 140 miles per hour and what was it, 65, 55, somewhere in the Twin Cities. And like he didn't get suspended then. He pleaded that down to a misdemeanor. This time, July 2024, 6 days after Kyrie Jackson died and we think was a DUI, they knew, I'm sure, in their heart of hearts that, all right, well, we're in trouble. He's going to get suspended. There's no way we get out from underneath this. Now, in fairness to Addison, this thing sure lingered for an entire year, like as he almost went to trial for a DUI, which is really strange. But this news of a 3 game suspension did not slap the Vikings in the face on a random ass Tuesday right before the preseason. They knew it was coming. They drafted Ty Felton in round 3 accordingly. They evidently trust the guys that they have in Jalen Naylor and Lucky Jackson, for example. Rondell Moore was a free agent offseason signing. This is not a out of left field thing for the Vikings. They knew Addison was going to get suspended, and if they have not planned for it, and it appears that they have, it would be shame on them. This was very easy to predict for almost a whole year. So when you have that, like, and especially for a forward-thinking regime in Kwesi Adofo-Mensah and Kevin O'Connell, they evaluated what they had on this depth chart, all those wide receivers I mentioned 5 minutes ago. They drafted Ty Felton. They're evidently confident in J.J. McCarthy. T.J. Hawkinson is back. Josh Oliver's extended. This is not new news that Jordan Addison was going to be suspended. So that is number, let's see, you got 2 more left on this list. This one's fascinating, and in one way or another, I end up talking about this weekly on VikesNow. Running the football. The Vikings have pledged now this offseason, and it was brought to the forefront by the Jordan Mason trade. The Vikings have pledged to run the football more this season and more efficiently. So if you believe Kevin O'Connell when he's giddy about this twosome of Aaron Jones and Jordan Mason and whoever they end up employing as WR3, it might be Xavier Scott, who's having a pretty sweet camp. He's excited about his caliber, his duo, and Jordan Mason and Aaron Jones. And I think they finally got the message after 3 seasons in charge that they got to be able to run the football. They did better last year with Aaron Jones, but it still was like 20th best in the NFL or something like that, according to EPA per play. Then you have the quarterback who won a national championship in Michigan. And like the one knock on him is that he handed off the ball in Harbaugh's offense. And therefore the Vikings, they gotta they don't have a guy who's never aired out the football. Now I don't think that matters. I think JJ McCarthy has all the tools and is gonna be good. For me, this is so weird. I've talked about this on a few people's show. I know JJ McCarthy is going to be good. I don't have any reservations whatsoever that guy is going to be good. It's just a matter of how good right now. Are we talking like Brock Purdy, where he's good, in my opinion, mainly because he's in Kyle Shanahan's system? Or are we talking all the way up to that Joe Burrow level of good of McCarthy? That is where I'm at on his upside and how he'll eventually play out. But if you want to get him off to a competent start to build that confidence, you're going to want to run the football more than teams of O'Connell's past, where you'd rear back and throw the bastard 50 times. And I think he's starting to get the message, O'Connell, that is, that you got to run the football. Therefore, when you acknowledge that you're missing your electric wide receiver, your WR2 and Jordan Addison, you've got a rookie quarterback who's never taken a damn snap, who, by the way, won a national championship in Michigan in a run-happy offense. The Vikings are absolutely going to run the ball more than you and I are used to under Kevin O'Connell. And that means, out of the gate, when you don't have Jordan Addison, we're going to see a change of pace. We're going to be like, wow, they're really serious about running the football. And there's no better time to lean full tilt into that strategy when you're missing your second best wide receiver. Almost out of necessity, you got to run the rock a little more, and it just so happens that they're in the mood to do that, even if Addison was not suspended. Finally, I've heard some chirps about, woe is me, Hawkinson's got to groin tweak. Jordan Addison's on the sidelines with the hamstring. TJ Hawkinson had the hamstring or the groin tweak. Jordan Addison suspended. Justin Jefferson has a hamstring tweak. We need to start. We need to send up smoke signals and go sign Amari Cooper or Odell Beckham or something like that. No, you don't need to panic because we are 5 weeks away from the regular season. Justin Jefferson's hamstring thing was revealed over a week ago. It's not going to take 6 weeks to recover from a mild hamstring tweak. This is not a big, severe one like he had in 2023. Same with TJ Hawkinson. Let's assume he tweaked the groin in week one. Would you really think that we'd be like, oh, hey, the injury report's out. He's out until week 6, week 7. If you believe that Hawkinson is going to miss time, that's what you'd have to believe is that it's a week 1 thing. Boom, then he's out till week 6. No, I believe both guys will be just fine. We're in this unique spot where football doesn't feel too far away, but it's still 5 weeks away, regular season wise. So on top of what I believe the primary guys, aside from Madison, Jefferson, and Hawkinson being ready, you still have the best wide receiver in football, unless you're a Bengals fan, then you disagree and you say it's Jamar Chase. There is no better contingency plan for Jordan Addison missing 3 games because of a wet and reckless suspension than to turn around in your locker room and say, what are we going to do? Oh, we'll just give Justin Jefferson some more targets. Good. That's the way that it should be. The guy is a workhorse. It was funny. I tweeted that mind-bogglingly, Justin Jefferson's only 1,800 and something yards away from passing Randy Moss on the Vikings all-time receiving yards leaderboard. And I tweeted it. It's only going to take him about 20 games to do that. I was being conservative because JJ McCarthy never thrown a pass. Let's assume Jefferson has 1,400, 1,500 yards this year. And the people on Twitter were like, what kind of estimate is that? He's going to get it done in 10 games. He's going to get it done in 15 games. So the number one elixir to Jordan Addison missing the first 3 games of a season is Justin Jefferson. Just the man, the aura, the guy, what is he, 4-time Pro Bowler by now? It shouldn't be that big of a deal. If you didn't have Justin Jefferson and the truthers are right that he's going to miss time because of a mild hamstring tweak, yeah, then we'll do a show on like September 6th about how we too are panicking about the Vikings offense. But at the end of the day, you're going to have Justin Jefferson. Jordan Addison will be back before you know it. TJ Hawkinson has almost 5 weeks to recover from whatever his groin is doing to him. And then you have oodles of other wide receivers to choose from. Like, you got the announcement of Jordan Addison being suspended for 3 games right before the preseason. You can vet these sons of bitches throughout the entire preseason, all other 10 wide receivers that are on this depth chart, and may the best man win to step up and emerge in a WR3 role if you assume Jalen Naylor is going to be WR2. All right, that, my friends, guys, and gals, is why you should not panic about Jordan Addison. And this right here is why you should read my book. Go to Amazon, type in my name, Dustin Baker, or type in the motor route. I think it's already optimized on Google. You can just type in the motor route or type in Dustin Baker, the motor route. Read the book. Continue to watch VikesNow. I'll be back any day here to talk more Vikings football. Skol, baby.